Hey guys and girls, I am John Merritt from borntoproduce.com. If you're struggling to learn music theory, then stick around because here is all the knowledge that you need to write a chord progression in just 2 minutes. So there are 4 rules you need to follow. The first rule is pick a scale and only use the notes from that scale. Let's just go with the C minor scale, but you can pick any scale you like and still follow along. When we know the scale, we just Google notes in C minor scale. You'll find great images from musictheory.com, and to make it easy for yourself, just transfer those notes to your chosen DAW and mute them for easy reference. The second rule is about making chords. Now, to program a chord is super easy. We'll start with the 1 chord, of which the root note is C, as we're using a C minor scale. Now, a basic chord has 3 notes, and the root note is always the lowest note in the chord. So C is our root note, and then we skip a note in the scale, add another note, skip 1 note in the scale again, and add another note. And hey presto, we have a basic triad chord, and this process works on any note in any scale. It's that simple. Now, with those 2 super basic but powerful rules, you can then start to build your chord progression. We'll just do a simple 4-bar chord progression, so it will contain 4 chords in total, and that is where the third rule comes in, and that is the chord progression needs to resolve properly. All that means is that the last chord in your progression needs to sound right when it loops back around to the first chord in your progression. Now, this is the easiest of all the rules because you basically have 2 choices. You can either pick a 4 chord or a 5 chord. And how do you know what a 4 or 5 chord is? Well, it's easy. You just count up from the note of your scale. In this case, that's C, as we're using a C minor scale, and you count up 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the root note of your 4 chord. Then you simply make a triad like I have shown, so from your root note, skip a note, add a note, skip a note, add a note, and that's your 4 chord. A 5 chord is the same, but you count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's your root note, and again you build your chord in the same way. So let's just pick the 4 chord for the last chord in our progression. You can pick the 5 chord if you want. We already know the first chord is our 1 chord, as you almost always start a progression with the 1 chord, C in this case. So all we have to do is fill in the gaps, and that's just 2 more chords. And this is where the 4th rule comes in, which is experiment. So let's just go for it. Let's have a 7 chord as our second chord, but we're going to have it an octave down. So instead of starting from this A sharp, we'll start from this A sharp, and then let's have a 3 chord as our third chord. Of course, you can try using any chords as long as you stick to using the notes in the scale. It's totally up to you. So this is what we have so far. And it sounds okay. It's not like super interesting, but it's a good start. So one last very quick hack to take this from a very basic progression to something that actually sounds pretty good is to highlight all of the middle notes of the chords and move them up 1 octave. Now it's starting to sound really cool. You can then duplicate your chord progression and say like add an arpeggiated lead, for example. So let's just play that. And voila, you've already got something that sounds like a pretty damn good start to a track. So those are 4 simple variable rules or steps you can follow each and every time to make your own unique chord progressions. Of course, that is super basic, but I want you to see just how easy music theory can be when you strip away all of the unnecessary bits. And on that foundation you have learned in just a couple of minutes, you can then expand your knowledge and start to learn other rules in just the same way, like creating 7th chords, borrowing chords, augmenting chords, making longer chord progressions, and of course, a major part of your track is not just the chord progression, but all the musical parts that you can make from the chord structure, like the lead line, the bass line, arpeggiators, melodic rhythms, and all sorts of things can come from those first basic steps. So if you like the way this is taught, then you will love our Music Theory for Electronic Music Producers course. It's specifically designed to minimize the obscurity of music theory to just the essential knowledge that is needed to create chord progressions and melodies. We don't go at such a frenetic pace as we do in this video. We will slow it down a bit. It is for beginners. It is not for people who have already got a good grasp of music theory, as we really look at getting the biggest impact as possible with as little theory as possible. And then we teach that in easy to repeat steps. So thank you very much for watching. Here is a little bonus for those of you who managed to make it all the way to the end of the video. I really do appreciate you watching. So if you are interested and want to buy the course, this code, which you can enter at the checkout, will give you 20% off your first order. With Born to Produce, that's 20% off everything. If you're not interested, that's totally cool, but I suggest you follow the link anyway, as you can get a free sample pack. Just look to the top left hand side of the site and click the big pink button that, funny enough, says free sample pack. So thanks again for watching. I hope I have helped you in at least some small way, and perhaps even shown you that killer chord progressions and melodies really is within your grasp. See you later, guys and girls.